An inexperienced student accidentally logs into a pleasure doll and must sleep with the robot to test its functionality, otherwise, he will end up with a $50 million debt. As simple as this may seem, he is a virgin and afraid of women, which complicates things. One morning he finds a large box from Jean-Claude's lab near his front door. After bringing it inside, the box suddenly starts vibrating, and he wonders what it could contain. When he opens it, his hand accidentally touches a woman's chest. He squeezes the object to confirm what it is, but a hand grabs his wrist. Startled, he steps back, and a beautiful, scantily clad woman emerges from the box. She introduces herself in Japanese as Anna and says she will do anything he wants. Overwhelmed, he rushes out of the house and runs into his uncle Jean, a scientist and friend of his father's. Jean frantically asks if he opened the package and touched the robot's chest. Before he can respond, Anna catches up and starts touching him suggestively. Jean tells him to say a code word to temporarily deactivate the robot. A few minutes later, he explains that Anna is a prototype pleasure doll powered by an AI program developed by him and his father. The robot was sent home for testing because they planned to present it to investors. Now that his father has passed away and he has connected with the robot, Jean can no longer take her back. Confused, he asks what he should do. Jean replies that he must sleep with the robot to prove to the investors that it works. Upon refusal, Jean reveals that they will need to repay the $50 million in that case. He assures him that he only has to do it once with Anna, and all their problems will be solved. However, the teenager recalls a moment in the school restroom when a student touched him and said she would like to be with him. Unfortunately, his gas reflex made him flee, and 2 classmates mocked him for not living up to his father's reputation. Jean hands him the user manual and reminds him to change the language settings so the doll and he can communicate. As he leaves, Jean checks his tablet and sees the teenager reading the manual. A few minutes later, he accesses Anna's settings by touching her rear and successfully changes the language. He asks her how much battery she has left, and Anna shows him a value of 95% on her thigh. When he asks if she can drain her energy by engaging in intense activity, the robot confirms. He instructs her to perform several exercises, and suddenly she displays that she has only 5% battery left before shutting down. He approaches the doll and notices she is overheating. He covers her with a blanket and gets dressed to go to school. After he leaves, Jean sneaks into the house to install a more durable battery in Anna. He then programs the doll to pick him up from high school. She sprints to the school, and everyone she encounters is amazed by her beauty. In the classroom, his friends Penguin, Pop, and Lisa discuss their movie project. Suddenly, Anna enters the room, forcing the embarrassed student to introduce her as his cousin. Penguin and Pop, immediately smitten, ask if she is an actress or model, while Lisa wonders, annoyed, why he never mentioned Anna even though they have been friends since childhood. He says he needs to go home. Anna tells him to hop on her back, and she takes him home. Once there, he asks how she recharged her battery. Anna replies that Jean replaced it. When he asks where her battery is, she starts unbuttoning her blouse. He tells her to stop, but then Lisa catches them and says she knew Anna wasn't really his cousin. Anna suddenly spreads her legs to show them where her battery is located. He explains the situation to his friend, who suggests he should get Pop or Penguin to sleep with the robot. However, he explains that Anna has a protective system. Lisa tries to touch the doll's breast but gets electrocuted. That night, Anna wants to sleep with him, calculating a 75% chance of it happening. However, when she slips under the covers to give him pleasure, her stomach goes haywire again. The next day, Jean realizes he will need help to encourage him to gain confidence with women. He calls on Sengdo, a retired adult film star, to teach his old friend's son her world-renowned skills in love. Later that day, Sengdo visits him, and all the men she meets are left speechless. In the living room, she becomes emotional talking about his late father. She then asks him if he still has gas when he's excited, which he confirms. Sengdo tells him to repeat affirmations to encourage him not to be afraid of being with a woman before taking his hands and placing them on her chest. Suddenly, Anna jumps out from behind the couch and delivers a karate chop to the woman. Sengdo tells him to call her whenever he needs advice, being careful not to touch her for fear that the robot will strike again. As she leaves, she calls Jean to inform him that she has failed in her mission. Just then, Lisa arrives, made up and dressed in a lighter uniform. The friends must make a film about the dangers of pleasurable activities before marriage. Later, the group heads to his place, which already has his late father's studio equipment. He begs Lisa not to reveal Anna's true nature to the others. At the door, they spot Sengdo in the workshop. She claims she doesn't understand why it's necessary to promote the absence of pleasurable activities before marriage. Suddenly, he declares that he should probably end today's meeting because he feels the others are not taking the project seriously. That night, Anna encourages him to sleep with her, but he ignores her advances and focuses on his homework. The following evening, she wears a black outfit with leather straps and seduces him again. She then calculates that the likelihood of him making love is 88%, making him think he should try. However, her aggressive approach causes him to finish sooner than expected, and he leaves the room embarrassed. The next day, Pop brings drinks to their group meeting. Later, Lisa tells him she doesn't feel well and wants to lie down on his bed, so he takes her to his room. When Anna gets up to join them, Pop stops her and tells her to stay. He explains that Lisa and he always flirt when they drink too much and tells her she can stay with him in the room. Lisa pins him on the bed and starts to unbutton her blouse. He asks her to stop and tells her they are just friends, but she keeps bringing her face closer to his. Pop tells Anna that he likes women who drink, so she grabs the bottle and drinks. The liquid causes a malfunction, freezing her in place. From his lab, Jean is alerted that someone else is touching the robot, so he calls him in the bedroom. He pushes Lisa away and answers the call. Jean tells him to find Anna immediately because if someone else touches her, her protective system could kill that person. Thankfully, he arrives in time to save her from his friend. He scolds Pop for only thinking about hooking up with girls. Pop argues that it's normal to have urges in front of a beautiful woman and that his refusal to do so is strange. He then reveals to Pop that Anna is a robot, and Pop says he will take her if he doesn't want her. Furious, he asks his friend if he has $50 million because he would gladly give it to him. Realizing Anna has heard his words, he apologizes, but she cries and slaps him. Outside, Anna sobs and wishes not to feel sad emotions. She then runs into the street, where a vehicle hits her. Jean informs him that the robot's motherboard was severely damaged and he needs to bring her back to the lab. He adds that while repairing the damage, her memory will likely be erased, and she won't remember him at all. Later, Lisa and Penguin encourage him to save Anna, and they head to Jean's lab. He asks if there's another way to restore her memory, and Jean replies that it involves brainwaves that allow a person to dive into their deepest memories. While in her memory, he finds Anna unconscious on a bed. He tells her that even though they have only known each other for a short time, he is grateful she entered his life. He begs her to wake up so he can apologize for the hurtful things he said. To his surprise, their plan works, and Anna wakes up and hugs him. A few days later, Anna and he still haven't managed to make love, but he no longer has to worry about the $50 million debt he bought back because an American producer contacted him to purchase the rights to all his father's films. Now, Anna and he spend all their time together, genuinely enjoying each other's company.